Thanks for joining this new episode of the Holistic Selling Podcast. The purpose of the Holistic Selling Operating System is to align your entire company from culture to strategies, tactics, and day-to-day operations to empower your customer-facing teams to deliver extraordinary experiences and outcomes to your customers and prospects at every touchpoint. Each time one of your customer-facing team members interacts with a customer or a prospect is a unique opportunity to build trust, demonstrate value, and gain commitment in return. At a time when competition is more intense than ever, these touchpoints have to be hyper-personalized and relevant to each person you are interacting with. That's why this week we will dig deeper into a new AI-driven technology that is transforming the way sellers engage with customers in the SaaS B2B world. To do so, I am pleased to welcome back Gerald Poncet, one of the 4 co-founders of a company called Pangea Summit based in France and Germany. Pangea Summit has developed an AI platform to enable your frontline team members to create that hyper-personalized level of engagement with your customers and prospects at every touchpoint at scale. Gerald, welcome back. I see that you also have one of your co-founders on the show with us today. So over to you for quick introductions.
Thank you, Bernard. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of joining you on your podcast to share the Pangea story and our vision for the future of go-to-market. And at the end of that discussion, Bernard, you suggested we show the platform itself. So here we are. For those joining us for the first time, Pangea helps B2B organizations make their go-to-market efforts more relevant and effective with AI. Our belief is simple. AI should strengthen human relationships, not replace them. That's why we built the PangeaGTM platform, helping teams create more relevant, consistent, and impactful engagement at scale. I'm delighted to be joined by one of my co-founders, Elmar Roder. Elmar is our head of R&D and joins us from Germany. He brings deep expertise in telecommunications, enterprise software, AI. Elmar and I are longtime colleagues, and together with our CTO, Eric Prévost, he has been instrumental in shaping the architecture behind PangeaGTM. Today, he will take us behind the scene and show how the marketing and commercial teams create more customer engagement at scale. Now, should we start with a quick overview of what the audience is about to see?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Gerald. And thank you, Bernard, for giving us the opportunity to show PangeaGTM to the holistic selling community here today. What I'd like to share today is a day of a life of a sales executive. In our example, it's Linda, who is a sales executive from a company called Accelerate, an invented professional consulting company. And Linda's job as sales is it to find and qualify new prospects, understand the customer, their needs and their buying behavior, run sales meetings, manage and grow the pipeline, engage customers and grow the customer lifetime value, and for sure, close deals. With PangeaGTM, we like to make every customer interaction valuable and meaningful. And to do so, we want to make sure that the salesperson is equipped with the right information, context, and guidance to deliver what customers are actually expecting. For today, we have picked an example we all have been in. A meeting with a key decision maker is upcoming, and we all know there's significant preparation that needs to be done. We need to research the customer's business. We need to understand the customer's pain points, and then we need to map our value proposition to that specific customer context. We need to prepare relevant questions and define the meeting objectives as well as next steps. And from experiences, I think we all know this can take hours or for key meetings up to days. With PangeaGTM, that is different. For Linda, in her preparation, she just needs to set the context. In this example, a meeting with David, and she needs to put in a simple prompt. Prepare my upcoming meeting with David from SLB. And that's it. And what she gets is a complete meeting briefing with industry trends, customer insights, a talk track, and everything that she needs. That's what we plan to cover today.
So Elmar, this is great. What you're telling us is that with PangeaGTM, Instead of spending hours and hours of preparation time for an interaction with a customer or a prospect, you get all that information delivered to you in minutes?
Exactly, in minutes. The idea is we want to make the salespeople as effective as possible so that they can really focus on their job, which is selling to customers. But to be able to deliver that meaningful and frictionless experience on stage for a sales rep like Linda that we are going to seeing in a minute, but also for a BDR, a product manager, or a sales enablement manager, we need to ensure that we have the right tooling and the right insight in place. That's what we call Backstage, so that we know we have an industry expert in the background. We know that we have a customer expert in the background. We know that we have an expert on product and sales positioning in the background. And that is what we cover today in the session. We will start focusing on stage, taking a live of Linda as a sales rep. But later on, we also open the hood and then we take a look into Backstage where we will see what the AI engine is actually delivering for us. So the very simple scenario that we have picked for today, as mentioned before, Linda has an upcoming meeting with David from SLB. So she starts with a simple briefing. So PangeaGTM gets a briefing for her, as I mentioned, in minutes, everything that she needs, including the insights, including a complete talk track. Then in the second step of today's demo, during the meeting, PangeaGTM is guiding Linda through the meeting. It's bringing up relevant topics. It's giving Linda recommendations on what to do and how to react to certain questions. And it's also capturing the sentiment of the meeting itself. And then in the third part of today's demo, we take a look post-meeting, where PangeaGTM is creating two things for Linda. First of all, a meeting report that Linda can use to inform the internal team on how the meeting went. And then, more importantly, an external facing microsite for David with the proposal of the pilot that was discussed during the meeting. So that's what I like to show right now. So I'm switching role here and becoming Linda, a sales executive from Accelerate. So Linda is using PangeaGTM. This is PangeaGTM's homepage with predefined common tasks for the day-to-day work of Linda. This is about creating a meeting preparation for the upcoming meeting. And as I indicated before, it's very simple. What I need to do is I need to quickly set the context. So this is an upcoming meeting with a company called SLB and with David. Now I need to define what is the meeting about. I need to tell the system, is it product focused? Is it sales play focused? In our example, we have a meeting on the industry cloud offering for the energy sector. And that's it from a context setting perspective. Context is set. PangeaGTM is also creating a prompt for me. And let's get the meeting preparation going. While this is running, I had briefly prepared an example here just before. So PangeaGTM is creating this meeting for me, and here's the result. A document which is briefing Linda with everything she needs to know about the industry trends, oil and gas here in particular, then the priorities of our customer, the special insights on David and on how to address him, and then the talk track for Linda, how to run the meeting, starting with the business outcomes, confirm the business challenges, the pain points to address, the proposed solution, the next steps, risk and considerations, and other topics. So Linda has everything she needs to engage in a good meeting, which is the next step I'm going to show here.
So before you go there, Elmar, what I saw you demonstrate is that the sales executive goes into PangeaGTM, uses a couple of prompts, and within minutes, that sales executive gets a script that contains everything that he or she needs to have a successful, personalized, contextual, and relevant interaction with that customer or prospect. I think that's fantastic. Instead of having to go through an intranet and do research on looking at financial reports, looking at sales plays, combining all that information by himself or herself for the purpose of the call, PangeaGTM consolidates and activates all that content at the moment of truth for a sales executive to have everything he or she needs to be successful at conducting that interaction with the customer. I think that's really transformational in the life of a sales executive. That's really good. So this is all pre-meeting so that that sales executive can be ready for that interaction, right?
That's right. And that was a great summary, Bernard. And as I tried to mention here before, the idea is to make it as frictionless for Linda to get prepared for the meeting and really to focus her energy on making a great meeting rather than focusing on preparation. So the meeting is happening. It's an online meeting. In this specific example, we have asked David his consent to record the meeting. We also have other possibilities to record the meeting context. Let's look into the meeting, what PangeaGTM actually gets here. So what we are seeing is the meeting is running. I have the information on David here. I'm reminded on what to say, what to avoid. I'm seeing how the meeting is going from a sentiment perspective. So if I need to adjust, I can quickly adjust here. And then very important, I see a script of the conversation. What PangeaGTM is doing here already, it is looking for keywords. Then these are the keywords that are later used to also prepare the post meeting, right? To get the summary and also to create the follow-up microsite for David. In addition, we also see the discussion topics which are ongoing. There's also guidance for Linda on how to react to certain topics or what potential questions might be worth introducing to the conversation. In case there are questions that Linda cannot answer ad hoc, she can always invite the AI expert. So asking questions in the background, and there's instant response from deep expertise, industry expertise, customer expertise, product expertise. And of course, there's also the possibility that I can leverage pre-created assets that create additional value for my meeting. And then finally, all the documents that were prepared in advance for this meeting are available for Linda here too, so she can quickly recap on all the information that PangeaGTM has put together for her upfront.
This is great, Elmar. I can see that you can offer guided advice to the sales executive while the call is going on to ensure that that sales executive can react in real time to the interaction with the customer, to ensure that the call lends itself to a successful outcome. On top of that, I can see Linda either having the PDF and the guided workflow side by side on the screen, or maybe Linda can print the PDF and look at the guided interaction during the call on her screen. Either way, Linda now has the script to conduct a successful interaction with the customer while also looking at how the code is going in real time. And as you pointed out, Linda also has access to experts on the call to make sure that she can answer all the questions from the customer with the help of subject matter expert videos that are available for her to bring up into the call to answer any of those questions. Is that correct?
That is correct. And what we're trying to do here is we like to help Linda achieve her meeting outcome, what she wants to achieve, which is landing a pilot with a customer. All right. So now we did a successful meeting. I'm back into PangeaGTM. Linda now has two things that PangeaGTM did do for her. The first thing, PangeaGTM created a summary. So the summary is something that Linda can use to share with the broader sales team. So the other people from the sales team, from the sales organization that are working on the account. So what were the topics that have been discussed? What are the expected pilot objectives with the customer? And also what are the proposed next steps to actually get the pilot running? So that was internal facing. But more importantly is what we are able to send now with David. So with the information that we had recorded before in the meeting with the different keywords that we have seen with the insight on how the discussion went. The prompt has been filled, and what we did is we created a microsite with an external service. And this is the microsite that PangeaGTM had created for David here. A personalized microsite following up on the meeting about the objective of sustainability, management summary, sustainability platform in detail, cost of delay, why start now, the proposed solution from Accelerate, then the different working streams, and also why Accelerate is uniquely positioned to help SLB in this example to deliver a successful pilot. And with that, David, our customer, is happy. He is convinced Accelerate is the right partner to start a pilot with. And it's a start of a great relationship between SLB and Accelerate.
So as a result of the call, post-call, I saw two outcomes. One is an internal document that Linda and the team can use for communication purposes as well as coaching purposes. That's number one. And then number two, Linda, right after the call, can generate a microsite that she can send to the customer, which is hyper-personalized and contextually relevant to the conversation that she had just had with the customer at that point in time. Is that correct?
That is correct. In addition to everything you said, Bernard, it's also compliant. That is important as well. It is also compliant to the different Accelerate standards. So it's compliant from a brand perspective, right? It has been checked from a targeting perspective, from a messaging perspective, from a call to action with data compliance. Everything which is done in PangeaGTM, which is customer facing, is also going through that compliance check. What we are seeing here, right, there is this traffic light system, which is also telling Linda here, this is also a validated message that is following the guidelines on how Accelerate wants good customer communication to look like.
This is great. What I love about this, Elmar, is that PangeaGTM enables the entire workflow from pre-meeting to what happens during the meeting to post-meeting to enable that interaction with the customer. So as a sales executive, PangeaGTM takes care of engineering the entire workflow from end to end with the customer to achieve better outcomes as you demonstrated. So I think this is really good. Activating the content at the moment of truth really gives the sales executives everything that he or she needs to have a successful interaction with the customer at scale. And that is truly transformational. So I appreciate you showed us what you call the on-stage experience. Now, obviously, a lot of work has to be done backstage to make this happen. So let's take a look at that backstage experience as well.
Yeah, definitely. So now we open the hood and we look into backstage. So there are actually two personas I like to look at from a backstage perspective. The first one is Jessica. Jessica is a VP of product marketing for the industry cloud offering, and she's in charge of industry and sales play content for the offering, ensuring that messaging is always right. She also needs to look into competitive intelligence and ensure that objections are handled right. And in addition, she needs to make sure compliance is handled, and we've seen compliance management just before. The other person I quickly like to cover is Michael from business development, and he's in charge of ensuring that there's good insights on the customer, on the segment, on the industry, and also on the different personas, persons, and ensuring that signals that are being detected within the market are being reacted on. So these are the two backstage experiences I quickly like to cover. So let me switch back to PangeaGTM for that. So now I'm Jessica, and for product marketing, PangeaGTM offers a very comprehensive set of tools to make her job more easy and frictionless. First of all, she gets all information which are relevant for her. Industry information on, in our example, on energy, on automotive, and on others. As mentioned before, Jessica's primary job is content, industry content, product content, sales play content. I think it's important to mention that PangeaGTM is giving experts full control over their content. So as a product marketing person, I'm in charge and control of my content. I decide what is the product content that is being used here. What is the industry content? What makes it to an sales page? So we see information like customer success stories, information on the industry, product related information, sales play related information, all in one place. The next thing that Jessica has to ensure that messaging is right, that she can be sure that information that PangeaGTM is generating is in line with the messaging railguards that she has put together. That's why we have a concept of a messaging house, which is clearly describing the boundaries and the guidance on how messages should be created. Things like who is my target and my industry, right? What are the key challenges in my companies? What is the elevator pitch? So you see everything that is needed for successful product positioning is done here. And also to make it easy for the field to consume those information, there are two quick things I like to show, which is also important from a product marketing perspective, ensuring that people can deal with objections, right? How to react on certain objections that the field might perceive or that they are being asked by the customers, as well as, I think what we all know as FUD, fear, uncertainty and doubt. How can I enable and teach my field, my seller community to be able to address those topics in an excellent manner? And finally, things like a battle card, a winning script that is making people successful when actually they hit the customer base. So that was a very short view from a product marketing perspective. Again, everything that Jessica needs in one place where she is in full control of what is it that she would like to make available to the field to use when the field actually goes in front of customers. And the second backstage experience I like to show here is from a BDR perspective. Let me quickly look up our customer here, David. So when looking at his profile, we see everything that was used before. For instance, when creating the personalized microsite to make that microsite appealing for David, right? So what type of archetype is he? What ocean and disk assessment does he actually have? We already saw what to say and what not to say. We see his full profile, activities, insights about the customer, a complete profile summary, and also an extended psychometric about David so that we exactly land a message that is resonating with him. So that was one of the things I wanted to quickly show. One of the agents that we have in PangeaGTM that is ensuring there's always excellent information in the system to tailor messages. The same we also have for companies where, again, our agent is collecting these information for us and think about where we started, meeting preparation. Everything about the customer is here. SWOT analysis, annual reports, topics that we are analyzing about the customer. Then the revenue opportunities from a customer perspective. So where is the customer having his big bets? So what is it that we can support the customer with to be more successful in his business? What competitors there are, and for sure we need to understand what are the products and services that the customer is actually bringing to the market.
This is great, Elmar. I appreciate that you showed this today. The role of product marketing is extremely important in generating and curating the content that the sales executives need to generate these hyper-personalized interactions, one persona, one customer at a time at scale. And so you demonstrated here that product marketing can use PangeaGTM to load up the content, curate the content that the engine will dynamically use to activate that content in the context of each interaction. I think that's very well done. I also appreciate that you showed how the BDR can interact with the content to keep track of the account and support the sales executive in that role. So very well done. It's clear to the audience that each role has a particular user experience and user interface that they can leverage within the PangeaGTM platform to do their jobs in a much more organized and synchronized way to generate the content that's needed to create that right experience with the customers, one interaction at a time. Now, obviously, I'm sure that this requires a sophisticated platform on the back end to be able to generate that simple user interface that these key roles in the enterprise can leverage to win the hearts and minds of customers and prospects at every touch point. So my next question is, how is PangeaGTM making this all happen from a platform perspective?
Excellent question. Thanks for that, Bernard. So let's quickly dive into the platform architecture. Again, today we have mainly focused on the on-stage experience, showing a few of the backstage experiences. For the purpose of today, we showed on a desktop or tablet version. Just for the record here, I like to mention, obviously PangeaGTM runs on a smartphone as well, is fully mobile, and maybe even more important, can also run fully conversational for people that prefer that type of interaction. I think what's important to mention here is we have four main classes of services. We have seen what we call human to human, which is the on-stage experience. We have seen the digital knowledge twin, what Jessica, for instance, used to capture the different knowledge. You've seen also a preview on compliance, which was looking at the message and rating if the message was compliant or not. And we also have quickly seen meeting live in action. These services are underpinned and powered by a bunch of agents that are doing all of the background and research work, so that we have all the data up to date, that we detect signals, that we understand what customers are posting, where they're engaging, and so on. What I also showed in Jessica's example is we have our own data layer. And I like to mention, from our point of view, this is very important that businesses are in control of their own data, right? That they can decide when and what data are actually being used in what type of generation. To be sure, we leverage AI to the best extent possible. We also have an optimized LLM orchestration. That means we are leveraging multiple LLMs, in some agents also in parallel, ensuring that we use always the LLM which is best for a specific purpose. So with PangeaGTM, there's not an LLM login and there's also not a data login. And third thing, we also are infrastructure agnostic. You can run the solution as a SaaS offering in public cloud. But if you want, or if you require it because of regulations, you can also run in private cloud. So you can also run in private cloud, in sovereign cloud, or even on-premise. That is what also makes Pangea platform unique from an architecture perspective.
This is great because a lot of companies are looking at AI to achieve the same outcome, to create hyper-personalized messaging for customers for every interaction at scale. What I think this really demonstrates is don't try this at home. It requires a very sophisticated platform and technology to enable that hyper-personalization from the infrastructure layer to the data layer to the orchestration layer across any LLM engines out there in the marketplace, the synchronization of all the intelligence agents into an agentic platform, and then the multiple UIs on top of it. This requires an intense level of development to enable the simple interaction that we saw on the front end for the sales executives. So I'm really glad you showed this slide. It demonstrates the sophistication of the platform that's needed to enable that simple interaction on the front end. And clearly, this is an agentic platform that combines and synchronizes a number of agents in the background to enable that interaction. So very well done, Elmar. Now, the last question for you is, What have you seen in terms of outcomes with your early adopters? What business outcomes have your customers been able to achieve?
Thanks for that question, Bernard. I think what became obvious in today's session is what we like to focus on is really speed, quality of execution, and engagement. Today, we looked at the meeting preparation with PangeaGTM. You can get a customer buyer snapshot in just a few seconds. You can launch a nurture campaign in just a few minutes, or you can actually scale across your entire sales territory in just 20 minutes. This is what we think go-to-market at scale means. The levers that we are seeing to enable those is content velocity to drive better pipeline, message consistency across industries, across personas, across products, across buying groups, so that you are very consistent in what you communicate as a brand to the outside. And last but not least, being a trusted brand. You saw the compliance. From our perspective, compliance is one of the big things which is a differentiator for brands here. And the impact, the outcome, what we are seeing is higher win rates at shorter sales cycles. The cost of sale is going down. Salespeople can sell more at the same time. This is what we have learned from the pilots and the early customer engagements that we have been doing.
This is fantastic. So clear, measurable impact of the adoption of the PangeaGTM platform. Well done. So in summary, PangeaGTM is an agentic go-to-market platform that powers the entire workflow for the sales executives, from pre-meeting to what's happening during the meeting to post-meeting, through a simple UI, through the use of a simple prompt, where all the content is being activated and delivered to them in their workflow at the moment of truth, at scale, for every interaction with customers and prospects. You demonstrated that as the on-stage experience, as you called it. You also showed us the role of the supporting team and how they can use PangeaGTM to manage all the content, the product marketer, the BDR, and how they actually can leverage PangeaGTM to support the sales executive and generate that hyper-personalized, contextual, and relevant messaging at the moment of truth. And then you showed us how the platform in the background is put together to enable all the benefits of the platform. And then you finally shared the outcomes that customers can expect to achieve when they leverage the PangeaGTM platform. So we went full circle here in this podcast. I really appreciate that you took the time to demonstrate how the platform is working and the benefits for the sales executives and the multiple roles in the enterprise in terms of the business impact. So to conclude the podcast today, Gerald, let's get back to you for a closing statement. What is your call to action for the audience today as a result of this podcast?
Thank you, Bernard. If I may leave everyone with one final thought, the question is not whether your organization has knowledge. Organizations do. The question, arguably, is whether that knowledge becomes actionable. As AI continues to evolve, organizations have choices. They can wait and see. They can provide their teams with AI tools and let individuals find their own way. They can build capabilities internally, or they can choose to leverage specialized solutions designed for a specific business outcome. We believe the winners won't be those with the most AI. They'll be the ones that use AI to turn expertise, customer insight, and organizational better decisions and actions at scale. Ultimately, helping people show up better prepared for those moments of truth we've touched upon. Bernard, thanks again for the opportunity and for the engaging conversation. And for our audience, we hope you enjoyed today's demonstration of PangeaGTM. If any of these ideas resonate with you, we'd be delighted to continue the conversation.
Great call to action, Gerald. Thank you. Thank you to you and Elmar for your contribution to the podcast episode today. To anyone who's listening, it's really important for every organization in the SaaS B2B world to leverage AI to empower your frontline team members to deliver extraordinary experiences and outcomes to your customers and prospects at every touch point at scale. And what I believe this episode demonstrated today is don't try this at home. It requires a very sophisticated, agentic go-to-market platform to make this happen. And PangeaGTM demonstrated that outcome today. So thanks again to the two of you for a great podcast episode, and I'm sure we'll talk again very soon.
Thank you.